Given how the first issue of Blood Hunt ended, I think the most pressing story element that we need to follow up upon is Doctor Strange getting run through by a flippin' sword. Because let me tell you, that is a good way for your day to go downhill quickly. And that is on top of the world being overrun and attacked by vampires. So, let's check on the good doctor. My name is Ben, and this is Comic Book Breakdown's coverage of Blood Hunt, Episode 2, Physician, Heal Thyself. Doctor Strange 15 opens with a quick rerunning of Blade stabbing the Doctor, but then it keeps the story going, of course. Blade bites Strange in the neck, beginning the process of turning him, and then, throws the body to the side. And Clea attacks him. Her spells have pretty much no effect on Blade, which is weird, because that isn't really something that Blade can do historically. He is a warrior, not a magician. But as they fight, Blade is wielding two swords made of a black metal, and they appear to slice through or shatter Clea's spells. Blade overconfidently explains that these swords come from ancient Atlantis. That was an Atlantis ding. I have a theory that Atlantis is a big clue as to the true identity or cause of whatever is going on with Blade that made him into the villain for this event. So I want you to be on the lookout, and we're going to make a note of it. Anyways, the swords were forged in order to hunt sorcerers, and they killed a whole bunch of people over the years, but right now, they sure are thirsty, Clea. Clea asks him why he would do this, and Blade replies that this scheme has spanned epochs. This attack on the world? That's just the opening salvo. His attack on Strange was carefully calculated to thwart the casting of the Montesi formula, and Clea sneers at that. She will make damn sure that they cast that spell, if only to kill him now. But there's a complication. Blade points at Doctor Strange, who has now finished turning into a vampire. Can Clea bring herself to cast the spell and save the world, if it also means killing her one true love? And Blade isn't worried because he's died before, and he has the Blood Coven teleport him out, leaving Clea to deal with her suddenly incredibly violent and thirsty husband. She pulls out his spirit, his astral self, from his body, figuring that this curse affects his body, not his soul. Together, they figure, mostly at Clea's insistence, that they need to find a way to cast the Montesi formula, but to not focus all of their efforts on it. She figures that Blade wants them to spend a lot of time fighting each other over whether or not they should cast it, the guilt eating away at their relationship. Strange, of course, is perfectly fine casting the spell, even if it means he dies, because it means the world is saved. Clea, however, will not sacrifice Stephen Strange, even to save the world. They cannot win by doing what he thinks they'll do, she argues. They must save the world, and they must save him. Strange finally agrees to this plan. If Blade thinks that the heroes are scattered, divided, leaderless, then they'll need to unite some. Which is perfect, because that's when Tigra, Moon Knight, and Miles Morales' Spider-Man show up, which is where the Vengeance of Moon Knight issue 5 left off. I'm not going to be covering Vengeance of Moon Knight here quite yet, because I do not know if it's going to affect Blood Hunt's overall plotline. It's a solid issue, as all of Vengeance of Moon Knight has been, but yeah, that would be a different thing. While this happens, Strange's vampire ghost brother, God, I love comic books, a guy named Victor, eyes Doctor Strange's body. I mean, here Victor is, a spirit without a body, and right there's a body without a spirit. Perfect. I was really surprised reading this by how utterly and absolutely tied into Blood Hunt this book was. Any tie-in to a large crossover event always runs the risk of not mattering. If you can afford to buy every tie-in to every crossover event, and you think you would enjoy them all, then that's great. When I've been able to, I've bought as many crossover tie-ins as possible. But I already buy too many comics as it is right now, and then you throw in a massive crossover, and that expense just balloons. So I'm always carefully gauging which books to buy these days. Who is writing it? Who is the artist? Does this seem like it'll affect the plotline? Does the plotline seem like it's going to affect this particular comic? And that doesn't even need to be a long-term effect. Like, give me like 6 months of story content or something, that's fine. I don't need to see 45 years of Doctor Strange as a vampire. Just make it interesting. And with this issue of Doctor Strange, not only did they make it interesting, but it works really well as a tie-in to Blood Hunt, picking up all of those plot lines that were established there, but it also acts as a really good general issue of this particular volume of Doctor Strange. When author Jed MacKay took over writing Doctor Strange, the first thing that he did actually was kill him back in 2021's Death of Doctor Strange miniseries. He then spent 10 issues writing Strange, which saw Clea take up the mantle of Earth's Sorcerer Supreme, defend the Earth from various threats, and investigate a way to bring her dead husband and the true love of her life back to life. Now, in the currently ongoing Doctor Strange, his relationship with Clea is a main focus of the book and drama. Turning Strange into a vampire and making it so that Clea wouldn't dare to cast the Montesi formula is a super clever move on the parts of author Jed MacKay and evil villain Blade. It fits perfectly into the themes and story elements that he had been exploring all of this time, and it negates the chance of them ending this story incredibly quickly. This is also an excellent use of Strange's history, because he has cast the Montesi formula before, so what would stop him from doing it again? Well, here's why. They gave us a reason. Strange is perfectly written. I think Jed MacKay's done a really good job finding the character's voice. Clea is great in that I love that she's not really a superhero. She's a magical warlord from an alternate dimension. Clea is originally from the Dark Dimension. I believe she's the niece of Dormammu, if I remember correctly. So she's got incredible magic powers, and she comes from a society that is built on conquest, on killing things, on taking things over. And the man she fell in love with is a guy who's got the power to do it, and instead he chooses to help people. That's something she'd never seen before in her dimension, and she sees it in Strange, and she loves it, and she loves him for it. And so I love seeing that represented here as well. Blade is perhaps the character who is written the most off, but obviously that's because he's either not Blade or he's possessed or some crap. I'm assuming we're going to get there. Whoever this guy is, he is clearly tied to Atlantis, he is hunting down magic users, he is smart, and he likes to talk. Jed MacKay has also been slowly building up the background story element of Victor Strange as well. This dude honestly hasn't been around since 1993, but recent appearances have reintroduced him to the Marvel Universe. In 2022, there was an internet-only comic, Marvel calls them Infinity Comics, called Strange Tales: Victor Strange, which saw him go from dead vampire to undead vampire ghost. He then acted as a narrator and guide to the Crypt of Shadows one-shots in 2022 and 2023, which were a lot of fun, and now he has been a behind-the-scenes threat in Doctor Strange, slowly taking these little actions to escape the Crypt of Shadows and become an actual force in the universe. Soon to be an actual threat, I would imagine, based on this. I am very intrigued to see how this story plays out, and for a number of reasons. Traditionally, vampirism isn't something that you can actually cure in the Marvel Universe. During the Curse of the Mutants crossover, the X-Men actually had a think tank of super geniuses try to find a cure for vampirism, but since it is a magical disease and not a scientific disease, they couldn't find a solution. They figured there's no way to cure it normally. Jubilee, who was turned into a vampire during the event, only got devamped when the Phoenix, which is a cosmic flooping god, returned her to normal. That's a bit extreme to go for everybody who's about to be turned into a vampire. Then you have the threat of Victor Strange possessing Doctor Strange's body, which it could serve as either a distraction from the main problem that is the Blood Coven in Blade and occupy all of the Doctor Strange tie-in issues, or it could just be a small portion. We do have guests showing up in the form of Hunter's Moon, Tigra, and Spider-Man, so are they going to be distractions in this, or are they going to be aids to the main defeat? Or are they going to spin off into their own books? After all, they do have their own. Do they stop Victor, and then they move on to the main threat, or will defeating Victor show them the course of action that helps them save the day? I don't know, but I am excited to see what happens. Thank you for joining me on this particular episode of Breakdown's coverage of Blood Hunt. Next episode, we will be talking about the Strange Academies tie-in. If you enjoyed this episode of Breakdown, please make sure to hit that like button, and if you are not subscribed to the show, then click on that as well. I love getting feedback, and I would really appreciate it if you did so. If you have any questions, concerns, or would like to suggest a comic or a series to me, Breakdown can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and on a variety of podcast platforms, with links in the description for this episode below, as well as the email cbbreakdown@gmail.com. Thank you for your time and attention.